If you're a leader, you need to hear this. Great leadership isn't about having followers. It's about making more leaders. The real measure of leadership isn't about power or position. It's about impact and influence. The best leaders uplift, mentor, and empower others to reach their full potential. Leadership isn't about control. It's about creating a culture where people feel valued, inspired, and ready to grow. Remember this. If you treat your employees like they make a difference, they will. Join us in transforming leadership into a movement. Watch this video and see the incredible difference it makes when leadership is about building leaders, not followers. What's the best leadership advice you've ever received? Drop it in the comments.
Welcome to Building Resilience. I'm Jose Pereira, your host. This is the place where true leaders are forged, where stories of adversity turn into lessons of strength, and where faith, courage, and resilience come alive. Each week we bring you voices that inspire, challenge, and equip you to lead with an unbreakable spirit. This is more than a podcast. It's a movement. And it begins right now.
Everything.
Good, thank you.
So you are in Toronto?
I am in Toronto, yes.
Okay, I have a cousin that lives in Toronto, and you know, and I also have a good friend that he's a filmmaker, that he's kind of trying to write my story. He lives in Toronto too.
Well, Toronto is very multicultural. Extremely multicultural.
I know.
And full of many, I would like to say, interesting things. Like, I love it because you can experience so many different things in Toronto. It's not like it's just one, like people think it's just Canadian, but it's so...
I know, because my cousin has more than 30 years. Yeah, more than 30 years living in Toronto, and he keeps inviting me to go there. I have never been there. I don't know why.
And you live where?
I live in Houston.
You live in Houston. Oh, so it's very warm there then.
And there is very cold. That's the thing, you know.
Yeah, I know that Toronto can be very cold, unfortunately. But you know, it goes the opposite way as well. So, for example, you have very cold winters. We've had minus 40s, which is very, very cold. But then at the same time, we've gone the opposite direction and we've had plus 40, which is so humid that it's really, really hot. Like really hot. So you have the opposite. Like you have two extremes. And it is very humid in Toronto. But I love Toronto. I mean, there's a lot of issues in Canada, as you have a lot of issues in the States right now. But
no, are you kidding? By the way, welcome to be the state number 51.
Oh my God. No way. Thank you.
I have my friend, his name is Wayne. I always joke with him, and he got so angry every time I joke with, "Don't say that bullshit, you the American."
I know it'll never happen, just because people are, you know, there's a lot of things they just don't want. And so,
no, of course,
I love parts of the States. I truly enjoy them. Your current leader, I'm not too fond of him. He's a little out there in the left field. So I just, you know, I think for me, the biggest thing is the tariffs. I know he wants to bring back America, but he's impeded himself in a little way, because we're like your neighbor. We're like your big brother or your little brother, whatever you want to call us. And to make war with your brother, like, why would you do that, right?
I don't know, but, you know, maybe people take too serious sometimes his speech. He's a businessman. And
but this is it. He is a businessman.
He's a businessman, but he's a confrontational style. So he wants to punch first and then negotiate. You know, that is his. I punch, and then you come and I negotiate. That's his style. If you don't get it, you're gonna get crazy. You know?
He is crazy a little bit, but you know, I just take everything with stride, because we can't speak either. We had a crazy leader for I don't know how many years, Trudeau, who, God forbid, I'm so glad he's gone, because he was really out there. Like he would say one thing, and he was not a businessman, and then he would do something completely different, and then he'd lie. I never said that, but meanwhile, everybody's like, "But right here, you said it. Right, that's you, right?"
Yeah.
So now at least the person who's in charge now is not as chaotic. So I don't know. I think all leaders are a little bit puppets anyway. I don't really think they have much choice. I think a lot of times they're told what they have to do and they just kind of make it up as they go along. If you understand where I'm going with that. So so to talk to you a little bit about my podcast. So it has expanded over the last 5 years, I think almost 6 now. And it started off basically it was interviewing women and sharing women's stories of transformation. And then as it progressed, I started to add other people's stories, and now it just became the Soul Talks for Transformation. And it was really about where you were and where you are going, how you did it, and how are you inspiring others. And that's gone from everything from, someone who simply has had cancer, who climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and then started a school in, I think it's Zimbabwe. She has a school there now where she's a school teacher here in the States, and now she helps them there. But she had cancer, climbed a mountain, and then ended up helping these people in Africa with their school supplies so she could help educate. So big transformation. To another man who, it's unfortunate, but he was an alcoholic, a severe alcoholic, and but he was a boxer for years, and then he was gifted by God a beautiful child. The child was autistic, so he had to switch drinking. He had to stop his drinking. He had to change his life to improve everything for his child, and he did that. And unfortunately, though, but everything happens as it should, he did have a brain aneurysm and he died, I think literally weeks after I interviewed him. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was really, really intense because I found out about the funeral and it was here in Toronto, and I was quite taken back, and I was like, wow. So those stories. And then the latest one, where I flew to Panama, that's my favorite place to go. So
you interview the people, you fly and interview them in person?
I flew to Panama and I went to San Cristobal, and I interviewed the Nabi tribe as well as the woman Matilda Grand, who is supporting the Darklands Foundation and the cacao and the people there. So
what makes you travel to a place where you see that it's a great interview?
Yes. So I'm going to this coming year, I think. I was going to originally go to Florida, but now I've changed my mind. I'm going to go to Tulum, Mexico. I have a few people I know in Tulum. There's another podcaster, an amazing spiritual teacher down there who I've known for years, and we've worked together. And I want to do a big podcast in Tulum, and then I think I'm going to do one with Aaron Gibson in Alberta. We're going to do a live together. And then we'll see.
I have a friend. His name is Andre Namani. He's from California, and he has a podcast called Permission to Shine, and he travels all over the world. I was interviewed here in Houston. By the way, we did the interview with him. I'm going to share it maybe with you. It was an amazing set because I don't know how this guy get those connections. So we did, this movie, The Lone Survivor, that did Matt Damon. That was the war. Well, I believe it was during the Afghan war or something like that.
Okay.
Well, the real guy that did that movie, the real character, he has a ranch here in Magnolia, and he gave and his son is a podcaster. So we recorded there. The location was incredible. But Andre,
I like to do it. I've traveled because I'm originally from the UK.
Andre is a guy that he has his own company, so he takes money from his business to do this because
yes,
I did also a podcast with a guy. His name is Fran Ripioli. He's from Washington, but he has support with the Green Beret Foundation, so he travels a lot too. But of course, with that support. So it's great because they travel all over the world. This guy can be in China, France. I would love to do that, by the way.
Exactly. That's one of my passions. I've always traveled since I was 4. I'm originally from the UK, so I love to travel. I've lived in the Middle East. I've lived in Brunei. I've lived in Thailand. So the only reason I stay here in Toronto is because I have 2 children, and until...
But you have in traveling so much because you were being a diplomat, something like that?
No. So my father was an engineer,
Okay.
telecommunications engineer, and when we lived in the Middle East, of course, we couldn't go to school there, so he put us in private schools in Europe. And the only reason I even came back to Canada because my mother was here, so I came back to see her. But I probably would have stayed in Europe. But I came back here. I had 2 kids, and then I've kind of stayed here. But the last 10 years, I've really got the urge to leave again. I'm just kind of waiting. But I love to do the podcast. I love to do them in person.
Well,
because
5 years,
it's a different
long time. 5 years. You had a long time.
Well, it started in 2020, so it's almost 6 now. Yeah. But again, I have met other amazing podcasters in LA and all over the world. And just recently I got a sponsor. So it's not a huge amount, but it does help my podcast. But from my other businesses, I use that money so I can travel, right?
And what is your line of business? Because I saw that you do Reiki.
Well, okay, so a lot of my business it's kind of shifted over the years, but I was a transformational coach for a while, but I'll be totally truthfully honest, I don't have the patience to coach people because I'm kind of one of those people, and I'm going to be a little straight out. I'm like, shit or get off the pot, meaning make a decision in your life or stop talking to me. And because I don't have patience for people who, I can't do it, I forgot. No. You want to make a change, you got to take action now. That's the only way, right? So over the past, I would say probably 10 years, I was, certified in holistic and homeopathic medicine. My son became very ill in 2021, and that really catapulted me to really start to look into natural medicines. And I interviewed indigenous companies and people, understanding how medicine of earth can really support us, right?
Wow.
And right now, that is kind of what I'm teaching is the health aspect, but also what we say, what we think, how we talk about ourselves reflects into the universe. So if you talk shitty about yourself all day, you eat shitty all day, guess what? The universe is going to mirror that for you, and that's exactly what you're going to get. So I work with a couple of people where we do workshops and we talk about stuff because people think, oh, I had this problem, I have that problem. But ultimately, it's what you get up and you say to yourself every day. So if you're getting up every day and you're saying, my life sucks and I have so many bills, well, guess what? You're just going to get more of it, right?
Yeah.
And taking full responsibility for every single thing that happens in your life. No excuses, no, nothing. You have to take full responsibility.
Yeah.
This happened. Yeah, but I didn't cause that accident. Yes, but something in your life led up to that caused that for you to see and learn something. And so this is kind of where I'm at. That is part of it. And then the other part of it is, and I've done this for, 15 years, is I work with dogs. So I train them and and because I love being outside. I love being with nature. And so I work with them probably 4 hours a day. That's it. And all different kinds of dogs. And I love them, right? They're just so loving animals. And so that does also give me, income as well. So I created this life.
It's great because you're multifaceted, but you're doing things that really you enjoy it. Hearing about your Reiki transformation, all this stuff, because it's incredible. Because I have my podcast. Yeah, I don't know if you know. I have my podcast too, and my podcast I air it every Monday, and the interview this Monday yesterday was a lady. She's a lady from France, but she lives in London, so it's a French British. Her name is Ange Delumiere. And she's a Reiki expert. So she does healing with angels. So she does healing. So maybe you both should connect,
Yes, that would be. I have a lot of people that have come on to my podcast from the Gaia Network who channel entities, like like the Bashars or the Georgia Jeans, the Jamie Prices, who channel energies, and through their hands, through massage, they do different things, or they will just hold their hands on you and heal you that way. I have another friend here, Lily, who does the
I
same
know
thing.
about a little bit about that because my sister, she's a doctor and she also does Reiki, and she has been healing, imposing hands, these type of things. So yeah.
Well, it's huge, and that's probably why I'm big on the holistic and being aware of the body, mind, and soul, which is also one of the reasons why just this year I started my company Mason, which is bringing pure cacao from Panama to the North American market to people, not as a retail, but more of a wholesale, to share with people the quality and how good cacao can be, not the crap they sell on Amazon.
Let me tell you something, Raschell, I'm from Venezuela.
You're from Venezuela. I figured so. You have a Latino accent.
I'm from Venezuela, and I'm going to tell you the best cacao of the world is from Venezuela, not Panama. Venezuela. I don't know if I don't know if you're familiar, because the cacao Chuao is a DOC. Is really is a brand. The cacao Chuao is the one that is used in Belgium to and in
there's a lot of women from Paris actually in Panama, that there's 2 or 3 of them that come and they bring the cacao back to Paris for the chocolatiers. And yes, there are places like Peru and Venezuela, but it is.
I have a friend, and I have a friend that she has a company that does artisan cacao.
Yeah.
In Venezuela. Yeah.
So I brought it back because I brought it back for my children, for the health benefits, because I'm big on that. And then so many people asked me about it that it became a huge demand. And at the same time, I felt, well, I can support the Nabi community as well, because the Panamanian government, as you know, the governments say one thing but do another. And so they're like, oh, yes, of course you can have your lands and this, it's all yours. But you can't use the electricity and you can't use the fresh water. So it is kind of crazy, but that's fine. But I've done a lot of research on the type of cacao. So one of it is I don't know what kind you have there, because a lot of it is from, of course, Central and South America, and everything in Africa is all hybrid because it was all taken over there in the 1600s.
The story of the cacao of Venezuela is a place called Sucre, and there came the people from Corsica. They came when
Spain.
Corsica was, by that time was Spain, but they became friends. Okay, by Corsica, so they begin to plant the cacao there. So it came from that area, but the cacao is really very well certified internationally. If you do a research cacao Chuao. Let me put it here, Chuao.
Yeah, you can put it in the LinkedIn chat.
Okay, Chuao.
Because the ones that I'm aware of are Criollo and Forest.
That one, Chuao.
Okay. I don't know that one. I know.
Well, research it, because that is the one that many companies from Belgium and Switzerland they buy this cacao.
Okay.
It's high quality.
Well, for me, it wasn't so much about the chocolate. It's more about what's in the cacao. And one of the places, one of my suppliers, there's an island in the Caribbean. And the island was first, I think in the 1800s, an Englishman came there. And he helped build a lot of the waterways into Amarante, which is where Chiquita Banana is, or is not anymore now. And the Panamanian government wanted to really support him, and so they let him name the island. The name of the island is Isa Pastoras, I believe. But
it belongs to Panama.
But the island still belongs to Panama, but it's named after an Englishman called Shepherd's Island. That island only has 3 families on it.
Wow.
There's no other families but 3. And it's it's literally like you got to go to Bocas, and then from Bocas you have to go to Amarante, then from Amarante another 15-minute boat ride out into the middle of basically the jungle and the rainforest and these islands. And these cacao trees grow on this island from probably who knows when. And there is a farmer there, and I've worked with them, and I walked the whole farm. It's, a lot, and she has 10 or 12 cacao trees, and they are the criollo, and they are the rarer ones. There's the main ones that most people use are the forastero and trinitario. Those are the ones that they use that are very common.
And tell me something, you bring the cacao raw and then you process it?
So what they do for me, that farmer there, is she picks it, ferments it, dehydrates it, roasts it, and then she puts it in what they call a melanger, and it just warms it up and it melts it a little bit, and then she pours it into solid form with the cacao butter, so it becomes these blocks.
Okay, the block.
It just the blocks, and then she sells the blocks, or she sells, and then the Nabi tribe sells spheres. They do the same thing, but with like circles, right? They do sell nibs and the beans, but when you shave that cacao block and you put honey in it or maple syrup, oh my God, it's like drinking pure chocolate. And it's so good. I'm actually drinking it now.
So you bring the block and then you process it there in Canada?
I bring it back. I got all of my license and everything, and we basically just stamp it. It has its thing, and then it only goes to wholesale. So it only goes to private sellers and to a couple of wellness centers. I don't do retail. I don't want to go. In Canada, it's unlike the States. It's a big headache because you have to go through all these loops. I just want to supply the people that are doing cacao ceremonies, or they want to have it for their family. I don't want to put it into the stores because I feel like it'll lose its essence of purity once it goes to the store. Because the shelf life of cacao typically is 6 to 8 months. After that, it's still usable, but it's not as fresh. So I don't want it to get stocked for a year and then it gets dumped. I'd rather bring it in and then, have it for people to drink and enjoy. And it's extremely good because it gives you it gives you all your minerals and your vitamins.
No. The cacao is incredible. I know because in Venezuela, the cacao is very popular.
Yes.
We're heavy with chocolate, and we have good cacao. We have good coffee. Unfortunately, what happened in Venezuela was when the oil and gas production started, all these. Well, if you go back to the story of Venezuela. Mm-hmm. When the colony, the oil and gas of that time was the cacao, and the rich people, you know how they call them, the big cacaos. So when you were a rich people, this is a grand cacao, because cacao was because the people the farmers that planted the cacao were rich. Because all the production went directly to France, to the queen of France. By the time that she was heavily, she loved the cacao of Venezuela. That's why I can tell you that the cacao is great. That cacao.
It is. If you go back to.
We can do a podcast talking about cacao.
We could. I mean, if you go back to the Mayan times, cacao was the currency. Gold was not the currency. Cacao was the currency.
Yes.
Right. So, but you would love to. I think you had mentioned you would like to come on my podcast, and what would you like to share?
Well, okay. Now let me come now to my story. I don't know how familiar you are with my story. Okay, sit down.
I don't know your story, so share.
Okay, sit down. Okay. Well, as I said, I'm Venezuelan born. I live here in the U.S. I came here in the U.S. not as a normal immigrant, because my story is that I'm a fourth generation of oil and gas workers of Venezuela. So my granddad, he came in 1920 from the Netherlands when the oil and gas production started in Venezuela. So he came to the Maracaibo Lake, where was the big oil and gas production of Venezuela. So he was one of the pioneers in that area. He came with Shell. At that time, Shell was the
Yes.
Royal Dutch Shell. You're British, you know.
Yes.
So he was a Shell. So he got married with my grandma. My grandma was a native Aborigine of Venezuela. They called the Wayu. It's kind of the Cherokees here in the U.S. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So they got married. My mom, she began to work in the oil and gas with Mobil, that now is Exxon. And my dad also was a pioneer in the nationalization of the Venezuelan oil. So we came here to the U.S. the late 60s with my dad. He was doing his PhD in oil and gas in Tulsa. And when we came back, I started in the oil and gas. So I did my career in the oil and gas. So I did this story because in 2010, I came here as an expat, as the vice president of Silgo Petroleum here in the U.S. And at the end, I became the president of the company. So I was the being an immigrant, running the 6th biggest refinery here in the U.S. But nothing is for free, because that was during the first Trump administration. And there was having all this, I don't know if you follow the news what's going on right now between Venezuela and the U.S. Trump is in the midst of beginning the war and bombarding Venezuela. So during his first administration, he tried to throw this guy out. And I was working with this company that belonged to the Venezuelan government, and I was Venezuelan, and I was in the middle of all this thing between these two countries, and I decided to get retired. When that was November 2017. When I decided to get retired, I got a last minute call to do a presentation in Venezuela, and I flew with my 5 vice presidents, and we were kidnapped by the government. So I was kidnapped by Maduro. We were accused to be American spy, and we stayed 5 years kidnapped by the government there.
Oh my gosh, 5 years?
5 years, yes, 5 years. 5 years. 5 years because the negotiation became between the two governments, because we became the political pawns of the relation between the U.S. and Venezuela. Imagine that. You got caught in the middle.
That's
Canada,
crazy.
you got, there's a case very similar in Canada that there are two Canadians that were caught in China some years ago, and they were swapped by the daughter of the vice president of Xiaomi, the phone company of China. That case is very similar or us.
Oh, wow.
The two marks. They are very famous in Canada, the two marks. Go to the story of these guys.
Okay.
Our case is very similar to that. We were caught in the middle of the tension between Venezuela and the U.S. Was Donald Trump at the time. And well, the negotiation began to go back and forward. Trump lost the election, came Biden, and who brought us back was Biden through a prisoner swap. So I came back in October 1st, 2022. I was swapped by the two nephews of Maduro. So the two nephews that were here, accused to be drug lords here in the U.S. And well, we had the honor to be swapped by the two nephews of those guys. So there became my life changing, because that when I saw your program, I said I want to be in that show, because that was a life changing for me. Because I did my 35-year career in oil and gas, very successful. All the toys, being a CEO of a company, the 6th biggest refinery in the U.S. So having my perfect life, and in a minute, I became a hostage. I lost everything. We were thrown in a dungeon with the political prisoners of Venezuela, and it was a 5-year night. So I stayed 5 years in a hell. So for me, it can have been a situation that you can get crazy, or you can even take your life. No, because but there comes all the turning point, and that's why I decided to put it in my book. So my book talks. This is my book, From Hero to Villain. See, these are the guards.
Hero, a villain.
These are the guards that they took us, and this is the Spanish version. I have it in English and in Spanish. The book
Okay.
is it won the best true memoir 2025 this year. Has 5 times Amazon bestseller
Nice.
in 5 categories, and I'm beginning to run the movie with this guy that is from Toronto. He's
You want to do a movie about
no,
it?
no, he's already beginning to the production. We're having the conversation. We have been talking with many people.
Okay.
Yeah, Wayne, he lives in Toronto, and I got connected with Wayne because he is the filmmaker. Long story short, when I came back, I got connected to all the hosted community here in the U.S. So we have a big community here. You see this flag? This flag is the hosted and wrongfully detained flag. This is our official flag here in the U.S., and my family is one of the co-founders of this flag. They created a campaign called the Bring Our Family Home campaign for 20 families that have families in many countries, because I was not familiar because I was caught in Venezuela, but there are people here in China, in Russia,
I know.
Iran, North Korea, a lot of Americans. And today I'm connected to that community.
Good.
So
Yes.
why I say this, because Wayne, he is the filmmaker that helps these foundations, and we connected there. And now we're in the middle of next year, maybe doing the thing. We have had conversation with Hollywood, all these things. I don't know how it's gonna play next week, whatever. But the story is that we were 6 guys, because I was not alone. We were 6 guys. I flew with my vice president. We were put in solitary confinement, but after 1 year, we stayed the next 4 years together. And there came all the story of the survival. I narrate all this stuff in the book. But my life changed when I came back. When I came back, because when you come back in a situation like mine, you're coming like in a time machine.
Yes.
You're coming literally like in a time machine.
Yes. Yes.
Picture this. I left 2017 and came back in 2022 after the pandemic. And when they opened the door, I'm here in a different world. I said, what the heck happened in this world? You know, for me, it was like, at some point, I wanted to go back.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was better going back. What I found here, my family all destroyed, the finance, everything was destroyed. Of course, I never knew nothing, because during 5 years, they kept me isolated. They wanted to keep me safe. And I have lost my mother-in-law. I have lost my aunt that was like my mother, friends. The pandemic took a lot of people. The people now are angry. Everybody, all that wild thing happening in the government. So it was crazy. So I literally was like a kind of difficult to digest. I had a blessing that I got connected with these foundations, and one of the things they do, they give you mental health support. So they assigned me a therapist that still today is with me. I went through PTSD events, a lot of things.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
But having the connection with Daisy, and having the connection with those foundations, and I found that our family did a lot of things to put the noise, the buzz, to bring us back. And one of the things they did is that they created an alley in Washington that today is called the Freedom Alley. Has our faces, a 6-foot-tall faces alley with 20 faces of people that were captured. The alley became kind of famous here in the U.S. because one of the faces was this basketball player, Brittany Griner, the one that was captured in Russia. Yes. She is part of the community. So when she was, her faces pop up there, the journalists begin to take care of, who are these guys? Well, long story short, when I came back, I went to that mural to take some photos. It was like a sanctuary, and to say thanks to the people that worked to bring us back. And the day I was there, I don't know how they knew that I was going there. And so they came all the press. They wanted to interview me, all the family. Came a delegation of the ambassadors. So it was wild. So I was 1 month coming back, and the other month I'm with all that stuff. And for me, it was really difficult to digest. But the good thing is that I begin to connect with the family. And I begin to hear their stories, where they were going through. And I met with other former hostages. So now we begin to get the connection. And at the beginning, I wanted to begin to help them, but it was very difficult to me. As you said, you don't have too much patience with the people. For me, it was difficult. I was still healing myself.
Yes, absolutely.
So what I decided is that I created a coaching program, and because I was in the business arena, I created a coaching program to businessmen. So that's one of the things that I'm doing today.
Nice.
I had my coaching that I do it here in Houston. I begin to speak because begin to get invited to talk about my story. I went to the UN, I went to the Congress, I went to libraries, museum, blah blah blah, and I began to be a speaker. So today I begin to be a speaker. I begin to get interviewed in TV, in podcasts here and there, share my story. But I begin to tweak my story because I didn't want to be seen like a victim. I wanted to be seen. I don't want to say the cliche from victim to victim. No, I wanted to be seen as a person that was using this terrible experience,
yes,
to a way to help others.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that book that you see there is based on the letters that I could smuggle during 3 years with my wife. So we smuggled like 1,000 letters, and it became this book. But it took me almost 1 year to finish it because I was not prepared. I was still healing. But for some blessing of God, I begin to have like a revelation how to use this tool, not to tell my story, how to use this to really to help others. So
empower others.
So my book became to be more transformational. It became to be more transformational, and I begin to get more connection in that side. I begin to go to my church. I was not a religious guy. So I got connected to my church. I began to do church service, and all this stuff. We're heading one to the other. And now I'm speaking, now I'm coaching, now I'm promoting my book. I decided to start my podcast. I have a podcast called Building Resilience. But since 3 months ago, I began my own TV show. So now I'm a TV host too. So I became kind of a media man.
I think you've got a really good story, because a lot of what my story, people that share them with, and I talk a lot about, is the empowerment of your story leads to the trajectory of your life. And I always say to people, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. The thing is, are you taking the empowering pieces of that story to transform your life, or are you telling yourself the same bullshit story and then not moving forward and not growing? Because if you're doing that, then
let me tell you, not only transforming my life, I really believe in transforming the life of others.
Absolutely. When you transform yourself, you transform others, because we're all connected. And so when you start to transform yourself, you attract different people, and different people support you, and it transforms everybody else. So I think you've got a wonderful story. And
let me tell you something else, because it goes further.
Okay, you're not going to save this for the podcast.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't stop there, because the final step of all the stories that today I launched my nonprofit. So I decided to convert this in a nonprofit.
Yes.
So the full cycle for me was not only telling the story, helping the story, it was creating a nonprofit to really help people.
Yes.
And I decided to launch it today, because today is Giving Tuesday. So,
good.
So
congratulations.
So for me, this has been like a full cycle of doing things in an intentional way. And this really is going to be my final legacy.
I
So
love that.
if you see, all I have been doing is heading to this.
Mhm.
Everything heading to this, because why I did it this way, Raschell. Here in the US, everybody heard about our story. If you Google Sid Go Sick, you will find, believe me, thousands of hundreds of news of our story. You put it there, you will find a lot of news. Because we were caught with a tension between two countries, We was a news. It was a news, no face. We were the Sid Go Six. We were like a brand. Nobody knew who was Jose Angel Pereira. I came back, I said, I want the people that know me. I want the people that know that I'm not a brand. I don't have the Sid Go Six here. So I wanted to be myself. Now I believe that I have been trying to tell my own story.
You are.
And now that I'm telling my story, I can go to the people, knock door, and say, now I'm doing this, and you know me, and you know why I'm doing this.
Yes. I think it's a great story. There's lots of great attributes to it. And so a couple of things. One, I would love for you to drop in the LinkedIn chat the link to your book.
Okay.
That's really important. And then you just mentioned a name here called something, you said it very quickly, something six, the what? The name of
the Sid Go Six. Let me tell you.
Okay, you can drop that in the
yeah.
Just drop it in the chat, because then I can look it up. And then what I'd like to do is, so I've closed my season for 2025. But for 20, pardon me?
No, I'm the same. In my podcast, I'm done with this year.
Yeah. But I would love to have you in 2026. So what I'd like to do is, in the next week or so, I'll send you a link in the chat, and it will give you a couple of days in January, February to pick what worked for you. And then once you do that, then you'll get an email from me, and it'll ask for like your media sheet, your bio, a picture of you, and then we'll record. And I think what I'd like to look into a little bit.
And let me tell you, I would love to have you also in my podcast.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
My story is transformational too. It's just, I share it sometimes and sometimes I don't. But it's made me who I am today, and it's part of the reason why I don't coach too much anymore, because I don't have the patience. And I think it's just because as I've grown, I've started to realize. Pardon me?
I understand you, because it's difficult.
Yeah, because I've realized, like, I grew up a pretty rough life, and, left an abusive relationship. I'm just synopsizing this here, and went through a lot of ups and downs. And I became an entrepreneur very young, and because I didn't like the 9-to-5, I didn't like the corporate world. I didn't want to be part of it. I wanted to beat my own drum. And I've taught my children that. Because I honestly believe that everything happens in your life is yours by design, but at the same time, you can be who you want to be. You don't have to be part of the world that says, oh, everything has to be done this way. I refuse to believe that. That's just society's way. You can do what you want and live off grid. I had a kid say to me, and when I say a kid, I mean like a 21-year-old. He said, wow, your mornings are pretty fire. He's like, you got a real chilled morning. And I said, yeah, it's by design. I designed it that way so that I could get up and do things and honor myself in the morning and do things that I like before I start my day. Because honoring myself is the most important thing in the world, right? If I don't honor myself, then why am I living? Because I'm the most important thing, because it's my world, right? Yeah. And then everything else comes after it. So I said, I don't want to get up in the morning and be honoring a company that doesn't honor me. I'd rather get up in the morning and honor myself. So
I'm laughing when what you're saying, because when you're talking about to be encapsulated here in the US, the people are very, square, and you always are hearing about, you have to think outside the box. Let me tell you something. I really laugh a lot. I'm going to be honest with you, because you are Canadian. You're not American. Maybe, but to America, I would not say this. the first time I heard this in a conversation, I remember I came to the lady that she was like she was the guru talking about how to think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I come from a third world country called Venezuela, and I'm gonna tell you something. There is no box. We have to only think.
There's no box.
There's no box. We have only to think. And
Yes.
think and act.
Yes.
Because when you encapsulate yourself in that box, so you're doing whatever everybody is doing.
But that's exactly it. Most people think like that. My great grandmother used to make fun of me. She used to call me "Can I?" Because in the UK, I would say, "Can I do that? Can I try that? Can I go over there?" So they renamed me "Can I?" Because that's all I always asked why. I didn't care who you were. I didn't care. I worked at one time for one of the biggest sports entertainment companies in Canada. And I didn't care if you were alumni for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I would ask you, well, why are you doing that? Like, do you know what? And they would just look at me like, do you know who I am? I don't care who you are, but you're doing something that's going to cause me to have problems. So why are you doing it? And people were like, holy cow, Raschell. And I said, but just because that person is famous doesn't mean that they get to do what they want, especially, like I always ask questions, and they kind of liked that because I would always say, well, why do people say, oh, it's always been done that way. And I go, okay, but why? Yeah. Why do you always do it that way? Because some guy said that you should do it or some woman said you should do it doesn't mean it has to be done that way.
Nobody questions things. And when you're talking about being famous, one of the experiences that I had during my captivity was that I was with the political prisoners. Believe me, very reputable, high-ranking people that I used to see in the media. Mm-hmm. Now they were with me because they were opposition of the regime. And I remember saying, hey, I saw you in the TV every night. Now you're here.
What's going on?
in a short, without no shit, talking here. We're normal people. Famous.
Yes.
Bullshit famous. Normal people. The people, when you are in a situation like this, there's no famous, there's no title, there's no nothing. So for me today, that's my transformation in my life, because I thought that I was a big boss. No, I was a big boss. I took the phone, everything was done. I needed to go, I had a plane.
But you've done a wonderful transformation, and you've come back in a way that now you're helping humanity. You're helping people that are going through the same thing. So I love that. And it's transformed your life, because you probably now look at your life in a completely different way than you did 5 years.
Believe me, that for me is a before and after.
Oh, yes.
It's a complete before and after.
It does. It changes you. It shapes you. I even know for myself, living in the Middle East for a few years when my father worked there, I came back very different, because I saw stuff before now it's all on social media, but I saw stuff that happened there that shocked me that was going on. Now everybody's, this was before the internet, before cell phones, before TikTok, before Instagram. And it made me very changed, and it does. I saw stuff that no 17-year-old should see, and I came back kind of like, oh my God, is this what happens in that part of the world? So
let me tell you, when you have the ability to travel to other countries, that expands your vision, because
it does.
Because you can embrace and see the other culture. And this is another thing, that when you know another cultures, because I had the opportunity to work with several cultures, and you begin to understand that you begin to see the people totally different, because even if they're small and with the eyes like this, and or they're Latin looking or British or whatever, at the end everybody bleeds.
Yes. Yes. Still, you all bleed the same, and you all have the same feelings. So yes, 100%. Wow. Well, I think you've got a really great story, and I'm very glad that you reached out to me, and I'm glad that we connected.
Because I saw you. I don't know. You did an interview with somebody. When I heard it, I said, "Oh, I want to contact her."
Okay.
I'm gonna share it because it came to my feed. Your interview. You were
Yes.
interviewing somebody, but it was so profound while you were talking there that really caught my attention.
Oh,
And
thank you.
and that's why I contacted you. I
Well, thank
really
you.
said I want to be with her because today everything I do in my life, Raschell, is intentional. And
Yes.
I really try to be guided by my Holy Spirit guiding me. That if I had to contact somebody, it's because I had to do it. You know, the nonprofit that I'm starting, I'm working with a pastor that he's helping me.
Good.
And when I began to work with him 1 year ago, he was in a workshop, in a seminar, because he has a fundraiser company that helps nonprofit. And he was doing this seminar. And I texted him, said, Pastor, would like to talk. And we did a Zoom like this. And I said, I'm going to start a nonprofit like this, blah, blah, blah. And I would love to work with you. Why with me? Because God told me to work with you. And he said, oh, if God said it, I had to work with you. And now we joke about that. And now we joke about that because he became really excited with this project.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'll grow as you expand. It'll grow, and I'm very honored that you've chose me and you want to come on and share your story. So, yeah, if you put all that information in our LinkedIn chat, I'll check it out, and then give me a week or so, and I'll send you the link, and then you can pick a day in January or February that works for you, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Remember, Cacao Chuao is in the chat, and the Seed Go 6. You will find the story.
So that's in the LinkedIn chat, right?
No, I put it here in the chat here in the Zoom. You can take it.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
But I can put it in the LinkedIn chat.
Yeah, can you put it in the? Oh, where did I go? The LinkedIn chat, because once I close this, I don't know. Hold on, let me see.
No, let me put it.
Oh.
If you're a leader, you need to hear this. Great leadership isn't about having followers. It's about making more leaders. The real measure of leadership isn't about power or position. It's about impact and influence. The best leaders uplift, mentor, and empower others to reach their full potential. Leadership isn't about control. It's about creating a culture where people feel valued, inspired, and ready to grow. Remember this. If you treat your employees like they make a difference, they will. Join us in transforming leadership into a movement. Watch this video and see the incredible difference it makes when leadership is about building leaders, not followers. What's the best leadership advice you've ever received? Drop it in the comments.
Welcome to Building Resilience. I'm Jose Pereira, your host. This is the place where true leaders are forged, where stories of adversity turn into lessons of strength, and where faith, courage, and resilience come alive. Each week we bring you voices that inspire, challenge, and equip you to lead with an unbreakable spirit. This is more than a podcast. It's a movement.